What if one of the most powerful governments on earth was quietly preparing a legal trapdoor, a loophole they could pull at the very last second, to stop the release of the most anticipated documents in modern political history? Imagine a moment when Congress, in a rare show of unity, says release everything, and yet, behind closed doors, another plan is already in motion to keep those files locked away indefinitely. Today, we are going to unravel a chain of events that feels less like politics and more like a thriller, because this story is filled with suspicious timing, conflicting statements, and an extraordinary amount of coincidence that seems not so coincidental. But first, let me ask you directly. Do you think the Epstein Files will ever actually see the light of day? And, maybe more importantly, who benefits the most from making sure they don't? Stay with me, because this is about to get explosive. Everything begins with a seemingly straightforward question from a reporter. Does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files? This is where Attorney General Pam Bondi delivers her now infamous line.
The Epstein Files. Does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
If your political instincts tingled at that answer, you weren't wrong. Because what followed next revealed far more than Bondi intended. She was asked point blank, when you say follow the law, then Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days? Her reply.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Did you catch the omission? She never answered the actual question. This matters because Congress, by a historic, overwhelming margin, said the files must be released. The House voted 427 to 1. The Senate voted unanimously. Even Trump once said,
I don't. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it.
He had no choice but to say that at the time. The political cost of opposing transparency was too high. But now that the bill actually passed, suddenly, a new problem appears. A potential loophole. A ready-made excuse. And that excuse is the new investigation Trump personally ordered. Because when Pam Bondi was asked if that new investigation into Democrats that Trump demanded would stop the release of the remaining files, she didn't say no, she didn't say of course not. She didn't even reassure anyone that transparency would still happen. She simply repeated a vague line about following the law. Here's the part that should make everyone sit up straight. There is a long-standing DOJ rule that information tied to an ongoing investigation cannot be released publicly. Which means that if someone wanted to delay or hide information, the easiest way to do it is to create an investigation. That's why the next exchange is so critical. Bondi was asked why she launched the investigation after the DOJ had said earlier that no additional investigation was warranted. Her response.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
You might notice something. She said absolutely nothing. She gave no specifics. She provided no explanation. She didn't describe even one piece of new information. But then, magically, almost at the exact same moment, Donald Trump posts on Truth Social. Now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice together with our great patriots at the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them. And him. Bondi responds. Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity to deliver answers to the American people. And proceeds to open the investigation Trump demanded. If you believe that's a coincidence, I have a bridge to sell you. She then announces that SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, a well-respected prosecutor, will lead the probe, framing it as a noble pursuit of urgency and integrity. But let's pause. Why would new information show up precisely when Trump publicly asks for an investigation? Why would the timing align so perfectly? And how is it that Bondi offers no details, no evidence, no description of this supposedly new intel? This is where things get even more telling. Republicans quickly rallied around the escape hatch, even though Congress just voted overwhelmingly to force transparency. Senate Majority Leader John Thune was asked outright whether Bondi might slow-walk the release by citing the investigation. His response:
Now that the Congress has passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, overwhelming votes in both chambers, Democrats say that they think the Justice Department, Pam Bondi, may slow-walk the files release, citing ongoing investigations. Would it be a mistake for the administration to hold back these files, given the overwhelming expression of sentiment by the Congress here?
Well, I trust the judgment of the Justice Department to ensure that whatever files they release protect the victims, clearly. And I think there are other items, perhaps materials that were acquired through grand jury trials that perhaps they will have to make some decisions about, but I think they'll make the right decisions. I think the clear intent was, in both the House and the Senate and the bill now that, I don't know if the President signed it yet or not, but is to get the information out there. And I think, as you saw, there was a big vote yesterday in the House, and it was unanimous here in the Senate to do that.
He claims he trusts their judgment. Trust it based on what? Let's recap the DOJ's actions under Bondi. She falsely claimed files were ready to be released, until suddenly they weren't. She handed binders to right-wing influencers that contained nothing new. She delayed file requests from Congress for months. She reversed her own public promise for immediate transparency. And now she has launched a conveniently timed investigation that could legally stop the release indefinitely. Every piece fits together like a puzzle. And here's where the real political twist comes. This time, Trump can't rely on the usual partisan protection. Conservatives, moderates, liberals, everyone wants these files released. If he tries to use the investigation as a shield, he will be hit from both sides, every single day. Already reporters are asking him about Epstein nonstop, on Air Force One, in the Oval Office, during bilateral meetings, at every press gaggle. It has consumed his presidency, and it will only get worse if the files stay hidden. Maybe, just maybe, the material in those files is explosive enough that some are willing to endure that incoming political fire. Maybe the contents are so damaging that even bipartisan fury is preferable to public disclosure. But if Trump thinks he can roll out an ongoing investigation as a get-out-of-jail-free card, he may discover this time is different. Congress is united. The public is furious. And the patience for excuses has evaporated. So the question becomes: how far is the DOJ willing to go to shield these files? How long will the investigation last? Months? Years? Forever? And who benefits the most from delay? Who loses the most from transparency? These are the questions that will dominate Washington and the country until the truth comes out. And if you want more deep dive analysis that cuts through the spin and exposes the political playbook in real time, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more independent reporting, and drop your take in the comments. Do you think this investigation is legitimate, or a strategic stalling tactic? Your comments aren't just heard, they help push this video into the algorithm so more people can see what's really going on. Before you go, remember what was said in the original message. If you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. Your support genuinely matters.